This time on Superstars, 5 leading ladies who can take care of themselves.
Why don't you say it? I have the record.
When Gillian Anderson got the chance to star in the period drama House of Mirth back in the year 2000, she jumped at the chance to take a break from the monotony of playing Special Agent Dana Scully in the long-running sci-fi smash The X-Files.
And that's a certain pressure as well, to be able to not only choose something where I think that I can do something different, just in a creative way, and also I think to try and get away from that stereotype. Of course, it's going to be a motivation. I think that this choosing a period piece, is going to hopefully be a departure, and hopefully more than just putting on big dresses and big hats and having big hair.
Despite the discrepancy in centuries between her internalized character in House of Mirth and the more outward-looking Dana Scully, she did find some similarities between the two.
There are parallels. I mean, the stakes back then were so much higher than they are today, just in terms of women couldn't work back then, and if they did, they were on the lowest, rung of the social ladder, and it was just very, very difficult back then. But I think one of the primary through lines for this movie is the moral dilemma. Trying to make the right moves in life.
After taking time out to make House of Mirth, it was back for another 2 seasons of simmering sexual tension between Scully and Special Agent Fox Mulder, played by David Duchovny. The show finally ended in 2002 after 9 years.
No, that's right.
Despite her eagerness to escape her X-Files alter ego, the role had been incredibly good to her. As well as winning her an Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a primetime drama series, it also netted her a Golden Globe and 2 Screen Actors Guild Awards.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a huge chunk of my life. It was such a long period of time. It has, it means 9 years out of my 20s, and it means a roof over my head, and it was such a great thing to be involved in, and I think especially in retrospect, once you're kind of out of it and you get to look back and realize how fortunate you were and what an extraordinary experience it was.
After 6 years of wondering whether the truth was still out there, she was ready to climb back into the skirt suit for another X-Files movie entitled I Want to Believe.
Hold the line, gentlemen. Look left, look right. It's here.
Pregnant at the LA premiere, it seemed she'd fallen back in love with a character that also earned her top spot on FHM's Sexiest Women poll in 1996.
I think we're all completely on board for doing another one. I think there's a lot of ideas that the writers have, and I think that there's a lot of potential for it. But what it really needs is it needs people to show up and to see the film over and over again, and to actually prove that it gathers enough box office in order to push us into another film. So that's my call out to everybody: is more tickets, more bums and seats.
Not that playing Dana Scully in an endless round of X-Files movies is Gillian's only prospect. Over the past few years, she's kept busy with roles on stage and television, and is making something of a name for herself in period pieces. As well as playing the object of Steve Coogan's desires in Tristram Shandy, she won a Broadcasting Press Guild Award for her performance as Lady Deadlock in the BBC adaptation of Bleak House.
And now there's you.
She also played a supporting role in the film Last King of Scotland and starred as a single mother in The Mighty Celt. But for now, she's focusing on the demanding role of becoming a mother for the 3rd time.
Any parenting tips?
A sane one, a patient and sane one. Not to take my insanity out of my children. Yeah.
Swapping bodies with teen queen Lindsay Lohan in the 2003 switch flick Freaky Friday, gave Jamie Lee Curtis a chance to reflect on her own teenage years.
I wasn't a prude, and I wasn't, you know, a nerd, and I wasn't a straight-A student, that kind of good girl. But I wasn't a bad girl. I wasn't really breaking big rules and stuff. That no. I had authority. I had a big authority thing. I was not someone who's going to buck authority.
In Jamie Lee's case, that authority came in the shape of two Hollywood stars, Tony Curtis and the hapless star of the classic shower scene in Psycho, Janet Leigh. Although Jamie Lee briefly flirted with the idea of becoming a social worker, she decided to go into the precarious business of acting, and her mum was delighted to hand over her mantle as Scream Queen when Jamie Lee landed her debut role as the sole survivor in John Carpenter's smash hit Halloween in 1978.
Well, it was like we'd all died and gone to heaven because, I mean, it was her first feature. And, you know, and she was, and it's a big part. I mean, the whole thing falls on her shoulders. And this, for a first picture, that is really something. So we were just higher than a kite. I mean, you know, we were flying.
She went on to star in a string of subsequent spookers like Prom Night, Terror Train, The Fog and Virus.
We got somebody else on board. Repeat, we got somebody else on board. That's who sank the tug.
The sci-fi at sea drama, which co-starred Donald Sutherland, called for nerves of steel from the Scream Queen, who claimed she didn't scare easily. One scene involved having 25,000 gallons of water dumped on her to simulate a giant wave.
And I got to tell you, if I've ever been afraid of anything in my life, from a stunt, it was being dumped on with that kind of water pressure. It just scared. But I started to cry afterwards. I would not do it again. It really scared me. But I lived, and look, I conquered that water.
It looked like she'd be conquering more water in H2O. However, the title of her 1998 film did not, in fact, refer to the chemical symbol for water. It stood for Halloween 20, the 7th installment of the horror franchise, released on the 20th anniversary of the original. Breaking her oath not to star in any more slasher flicks, Jamie Lee couldn't turn the offer down.
Oh, Miss Tate, happy Halloween.
Somebody remarked to me, hey, you know, Halloween's going to be out 20 years in a couple years. I thought, 20 years? How's that possible? It's not possible. And I thought, what a wonderful opportunity to come back. And this was before Scream came out. This was before we ever even heard of Scream. I just thought it was an opportunity, since this is the movie people ask me about more than any other movie.
To make her return even sweeter, her mum was also cast in the film.
It's a privilege for me to stand here on a red carpet and look over and see my mother of 71 years old look like that. You know what I mean? That's just an amazing treat for me.
Yeah. No doubt she was grateful to have had that experience of working together 4 years later, when Janet died after a long battle with vasculitis. As well as her career in acting, Jamie Lee has also found success as a children's author and plows much of her time and energy into a California 12-step rehabilitation program for women in need. She has 2 adopted children with the equally multi-talented writer, director and actor Christopher Guest, who inherited the barony of Hayden Guest when his father died in 1996. This means that Jamie Lee can now officially go by the title of Lady. Ellen Barkin's acting career didn't exactly come flying out of the blocks. The daughter of a chemical salesman from the Bronx, majored in history and drama after graduating from Manhattan's High School of the Performing Arts. According to Time magazine, she then went on to study at the Actors Studio for a long 7 years before landing her first audition. She broke through in film in her mid-30s in the 1987 thriller The Big Easy, and consolidated her femme fatale status in 1989's Sea of Love.
You like the park and I like the beach. You like movies, I like plays. You're a printer, I manage a shoe store. And I don't believe in wasting time on this kind of stuff. You know what you know, and you go with it.
You go with what?
You're just not my type.
In Sea of Love, things get complicated between her and Al Pacino, with whom she's having an affair, when she discovers he suspects her of committing a murder. She worked steadily, making a film a year throughout the 90s, despite giving birth to 2 children during her first marriage to Gabriel Byrne. They divorced in 1999, but remained on such good terms that he attended her marriage the following year to billionaire businessman Ron Perelman. After that, she could afford to take a few years off, until that marriage ended in a messy divorce in 2006. Estimates of Ellen's payout ranged from $20 to $65 million. But whatever the exact amount, she decided it was time to retrain the spotlight on her acting endeavours and away from her private life. She managed to achieve that by signing up for a role in the 3rd instalment of the Ocean's franchise. Being one of the only females on the set of Ocean's 13 clearly had its advantages.
It felt wonderful because, honestly, they were so grateful when I would just kind of show up at work. I think, you get like all those guys all the time. But it was just like, oh, the distraction is here, Make her dress a little tighter, and there was a lot of that.
It certainly wasn't the first time in her career that she'd been sewn into a tight costume. One year, she was due to be presenting an Oscar when dressers sent by Karl Lagerfeld from Chanel proceeded to stitch her into her gown. When she asked how she was supposed to pee, she was politely informed she wasn't allowed to pee until after the presentation. But on the Ocean set with Matt Damon, Brad Pitt and George Clooney, she discovered she was rather less concerned with how she scrubbed up than some of her co-stars.
They're not so macho, by the way. I always said that they took longer to get ready in the morning than I did.
In The Heist Caper, she plays the butt-kicking assistant of the evil businessman Willie Bank, played by her Sea of Love co-star Al Pacino.
Oh, she's just like a no-nonsense, all-business woman. You never thought there was a personal life, and there shouldn't be.
Her character's lack of depth made preparation to play the role simple.
I mean, for me, a lot of it had to do with what she looked like and the idea of waking up in the morning, having 7 identical dresses, Monday's dress, Tuesday's dress, and so on, zipping it up, no accessories, bound into those clothes and just like out the door.
The task of fitting in with such a tight and established ensemble cast would have been made less daunting thanks to her off-screen friendship with Danny Ocean himself, George Clooney. At the LA premiere of Ocean's 13 at the age of 54, she was only too happy to be the odd girl out.
Why would I be the odd girl out? I was the girl with those 13 fabulous guys. It was fantastic.
Audrey Tautou nearly missed out on her star-making role as the eccentric matchmaker in 2001's Amélie. Legend has it that Jean-Pierre Jeunet originally wrote the role for British actress Emily Watson, who eventually turned it down, fearing her French wouldn't be good enough. That decision opened up the door for Audrey, who grabbed the opportunity with both hands to become an international sensation overnight. A year later, she was coming to terms with being recognized wherever she went.
Oui, bien sûr, parce que comme Amélie a eu un gros succès, forcément.
Yes, of course. Because as Amélie was a huge success, and the people saw me in it, by default, I'm known. Celebrity changes the relationship with others, and it changes the way people look at you in the street. On the good side, it changes work issues. It changes the way you meet people. It's like a balance between an advantage and something that's a disadvantage. The boost to her profile had brought the work offers flooding in, and first cab off the rank was a challenging part in Stephen Frears' film Dirty Pretty Things, for which she was not only required to speak English, but also to pull off a Turkish accent. And Audrey was very humble in the appraisal of her effort.
As I was expecting the worst, I was not too scared of myself. But yeah, it's very strange because for me, I'm not really believable as a Turkish Muslim woman speaking English with a Turkish accent. It's too much for me, but I hope that I'm the only French person who are going to think that kind of thing.
Although her next few films were in French, she'd clearly been practicing her English when she and Jean-Pierre tentatively took to the red carpet for the premiere of their second collaboration, A Very Long Engagement.
Of course, it's a kind of pressure to propose another movie after Amélie. We are very happy by what happened to the movie and the success in France. But I think that everybody was aware of the challenge that we have.
In the film, Audrey plays a young woman called Mathilde, whose fiancé goes missing during the First World War. Refusing to believe her beloved Manek is dead, she goes in search of him.
For me, Manek and Mathilde, it's the same kind of love than Romeo and Juliet, or the hero in Titanic. So I think it's stronger and bigger. It's not, it's not a modern love. It's a dreaming love.
Ahead of its release, she couldn't predict how the film about a woman searching for her lost fiancé would fare with audiences.
I have no idea. I'm not a medium, I hope that first the movie will have a great welcoming from the audience. I think we don't do movies for anything else.
Although A Very Long Engagement garnered great reviews and earned a Golden Globe nomination, it missed out on an Academy Award nomination for Best Foreign Film on a technicality, and was ineligible for the Cannes Film Festival because it had previously screened in the US. Still, Audrey made up for missing out on Cannes in 2005. Ironically, it was the premiere of her first big Hollywood blockbuster that presented her with the opportunity to grace the red carpet on the Croisette. Ron Howard's hotly anticipated adaptation of the smash hit novel The Da Vinci Code may not have been screening in competition, but the build-up to the controversial film's release was intense.
This is a movie where controversy is built into the DNA of it. It's, that's part of the entertainment value, in fact, is that not everyone's going to agree. They're going to be, if 10 people see it, they're going to be 10 different opinions about the film. And so it's not one of those, films that follows a formula where you sort of know if you follow X with Y and the bad guy gets in trouble, or, that everybody's going to feel good about it. Not that kind of story at all. And so very nerve-wracking.
While response to the film was incredibly mixed, Audrey took a positive spin.
I think it was good. I think people were very attentive, and nobody came out of the room. So I think it's very, very difficult to judge when you see your face in 3 meters from
when you're watching yourself, I imagine.
Yes, it's very, very difficult.
And what does it mean to you as as the opening film here? You're starring in the opening film.
Well, I'm very proud.
The Da Vinci Code went on to take $77 million in its opening weekend. Audrey's next big challenge will be to bring iconic designer Coco Chanel back to life in a biopic directed by Anne Fontaine. To say that Diane Lane has had something of a frustrating career would be rather an understatement. Having appeared in an acclaimed stage production of Medea back in 1977 at the age of 12 alongside Meryl Streep, she appeared on the cover of Time and was described as one of Hollywood's whiz kids. She made the transition into adult actor with roles in back-to-back 80s cult films The Outsiders and Rumblefish, and so impressed Andy Warhol that he declared her the undisputed female lead of Hollywood's new Brat Pack. Unfortunately, the films that should have transported her to the status of household name, Streets of Fire and The Cotton Club, both flopped at the box office and sent her running for the hills. She came back a few years later and has worked steadily on film and television since, but had to wait until 2002 to reclaim her rightful place in the spotlight. Reuniting with her Cotton Club co-star Richard Gere in Unfaithful, she played a frustrated wife who indulges in an adulterous affair with a sexy French book dealer played by Olivier Martinez.
I want you to follow my wife. What if I told you I found nothing?
The film involved a number of nude sex scenes, which Olivier reportedly found very uncomfortable. But Diane had complete trust in the director.
I knew that he was going to make a really extraordinary movie out of the screenplay. That he was going to get all the emotional depth into something that was not necessarily a new story, but, you know, it's a fresh visitation on a classical theme.
While the film didn't find favor with the critics, Diane came out of it with glowing reports, as well as an Academy Award nomination for Best Actress. In Under the Tuscan Sun the following year, the boot was on the other foot, when she played a San Francisco writer with a seemingly perfect life who discovers her husband is cheating on her.
This film came to me such a gift in terms of being so completely different from Unfaithful, and so rewarding in terms of being about love and encouragement of love and just the light, you know, versus the dark. I mean, Unfaithful was a dark movie.
At the premiere with her actor husband Josh Brolin, with whom she allegedly shares a stormy relationship, she reflected on the film's themes.
The message of the film for me when I read the script was that it gave me hope in many different versions of love. It's sort of like saying unorganized religion, unorganized love, you know, it's all good and at every age and at every denomination.
Diane's former loves have included Timothy Hutton, Christopher Lambert and John Bon Jovi. Her high-profile love life has given her plenty of first-hand experience of the intense pressure placed on celebrities by the press. Her turn as the wife of 1950s studio manager Eddie Mannix in Hollywoodland gave her the chance to compare the media's treatment of Golden Age stars with that of modern-day celebrities.
It's like bleeding in a piranha tank, you know, compared to the protected Cinderella existence that was perpetrated on the masses at that time. There was a separation between the press and the celebrities, and it was the studio system. And people forget how precious it was, almost to the psyche of everybody believing the same dream and agreeing together that these were the glamorous royal people who lived these dignified, gracious lives. No.
Arriving in LA to be honored by Elle magazine alongside Lauren Bacall, Kate Bosworth and Jennifer Connelly, she was able to reflect on the way attitudes to female actors had changed over the course of her 20-year career.
Well, there's a lot more opportunity for young women, and that's great. And I like to think that I was there to help pave a few stones for people to cross over today. And also, it's a nice time to look forward to the next 20 years because there's people like Susan Sarandon and Jessica Lange and Jane Fonda and Faye Dunaway, and Lauren Bacall is here tonight. So it's wonderful to have all the different stages of a woman's life acknowledged and appreciated.
Since then, even her film roles have been looking to the future. As well as portraying an investigator on the trail of a cyber killer in Untraceable, she played the mother of a teleporter in the sci-fi blockbuster Untraceable.
Who have already given us a lot.